Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. We're in the month of September 2024. And as I'm still recovering, just 3 weeks out from hip replacement, this month we're working on yin poses. So they're long stretches, they feel luxurious. At least that's the intent. So when we do these stretches, I want to make sure that you get into a place where you don't feel stress or strain, that you can relax into these. If I'm holding them too long and you need to come out, please do that. If the pose isn't working for you, do something else at home that you enjoy and that you like so that you have full opportunity to take advantage of this time stretching. So what I have today is a blanket roll. So either taking a blanket or a big beach towel. I've got it folded in half and then rolled up kind of like a sleeping bag so that I have a nice roll. And we're going to be using that to help us stretch through the chest and the spine. You can set that off to the side. I also have a yoga strap. And then we're going to be using the wall to stretch as well as an option. Starting today with Breath of Joy, this is a wonderful warm up for the shoulders. It's going to get the blood flowing through the shoulders and the chest and also help us to center our mind and our body. So, Breath of Joy has 3 small inhales and then a full exhalation through the mouth. So, we'll breathe in 3, 2, 1, and then exhale out. On those 3 breaths, on the first one, the arms come forward. On the second one, they go out. On the third breath in, they go up. And then on the exhale, we bend our knees and hinge forward and toss the arms behind us a little bit. So let's do a few really slow. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out. Shoulders forward, side, up, and back. Now, if this hurts your low back, you don't have to bend over on this. You can stay upright. Again, slow. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out. One more together. In, 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 and out. Okay, we're going to do this about 1 minute. You do your own timing and pace. I will not cue through this. So ready, exhale completely and begin. 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds. One more. And then come back to stand and breathe normally. Woo! 1 minute's about all I can do on that without getting a little lightheaded. So that should feel like your shoulders are nice and warm. You should feel the blood flowing, moving through your arms, your upper back, and your chest. But bring the hands to the front. And on an inhale, open back as far as you can. And exhale and close the elbows towards one another. And breathe in. And breathe out. So we're going to start to warm up to move into eagle arms. And I have a couple of options for you for eagle arms, depending on how tight you are through your shoulders. If you want to sit down for any of these, you can do that as well. So now we'll inhale and open. And as we exhale, cross the right hand to the left shoulder and the left hand to the right shoulder. So your right arm is on top. We'll do that again. Inhale, open. Right arm on top. 2 more. One more time. So your goal might be just to stay here. If you feel a nice stretch through the upper back, your next option is to wrap the arms into eagle. So the elbows are crossed, and then we try to get our hands to interlace. And I know that's not an option for everybody, so this option is wonderful. Draw your shoulder blades down, make your neck nice and long, and breathe. So if you're standing up, I'm going to give you the option to add a little bit of balance. Step toward your right foot and take your left foot and tap the toe or cross the ankle over. And this is challenging for me with hip replacement, so I'm going to see what I can do. And let's hold here another 30 seconds in our eagle arms. You can kind of move this around a little bit. Does it feel more of a stretch if you lift your elbows up a little or down, or if you move your head from side to side? I'll turn a little bit on an angle here so you can see a different position of my arms. And again, this is just fine. We're releasing any tension through the shoulder blades. Okay, unwrap the arms, step your feet back out, open, inhale. This time the left arm's going to be on top as we reach the hands to the opposite shoulders. I feel a lot of tightness right through those shoulder blades. So this is, even this right here, I'm feeling a really nice stretch. Let's do 2 more of those. We're pulling back to open the chest. Left arm on top, reaching for the shoulders or even the back of the shoulder blades. Last one. And then we can stay here, or we wrap the hands into eagle and we try to spin our thumbs toward our face and then make any adjustments so you feel a nice stretch. If you want to add balance, shift over onto the left foot, tap the right big toe, or cross the ankle. Those of you that know full eagle can also do the full eagle pose, where you cross above the knee and bend the knees and sink down. Just about 30 seconds again here on this side, opening up those shoulder blades. Sometimes dropping the chin to the chest is nice here. Oh, that gives me a lot different stretch when I drop the chin down. Make sure you're continuing to breathe just normally. One more breath. Unwrap those arms. Step out, inhale. And just exhale the arms down. Let's bring our hands either to our hips and pull your elbows back, or hands can interlace behind your back, or you can pick up your yoga strap and place that behind your back. Drop the shoulder blades down. We're going to do some half circles with the neck. So we start by tipping right ear to right shoulder, rolling down chin to chest, left ear, left shoulder, and back to neutral, then reversing the circle, left ear, left shoulder, roll chin to chest, right shoulder, and up. We'll do 1 more each side. Comfortable position for your shoulders with the arms wherever it feels best for you. I want you to get a nice stretch. And center. Good. Relax those arms down. Now, if you have space against a wall, we're going to do a one-arm shoulder stretch. If you don't have a wall next to you, then you're just going to simply stand and bring your arm behind you as far as you can. Or you can lay down on your mat on your side and stretch your arm behind you as well. So let's do the right arm first, and I'm going to use the wall. So when you come to the wall, you're going to place the right shoulder against the wall and then lower your arm down a little bit. So it's not up in here, it's slightly lower, and then start to walk your feet around so that you've got as much of a gentle stretch as possible here. Now, what to do with this hand? Either place it on your hip or slide it behind your back and pull that shoulder blade back. This stretch here is going to help us with our back stretch, which we'll do in just a few minutes, the cow face arm position. Now, so important that I don't want you to feel pain here. And we're not pushing to our end range. And that's, you're going to have to make that decision. Are you at your end range? I want you to be maybe only 90% of your end range, so you're not really forcing too big of a stretch. So we have a lot of class yet to be opening up our shoulders. So let's take one more breath. And then release the left arm from behind your back. And then start to walk yourself back carefully, slowly. And then lower that arm. How do you feel from right to left side? Should feel totally different. So let's take that left arm out to the wall then, or just standing up, and then you'll start to walk. I'm kind of out of camera view here. Start to walk yourself, and then, you might notice that one side is not the same as the other. So be real gentle and careful with this stretch. And then this hand, I'm going to reach it behind the back, and we'll hold here. So what if you get about 15 seconds into the stretch and you start to feel pain? And then you're just going to back off and start to turn yourself back out of it a little bit, or come out completely, or go back to holding your yoga strap with your arms behind you like we just did a moment ago. Standing really tall with good posture. Deep breaths with slow exhalations. Just a few more seconds here on this side. And then we'll release that bottom arm carefully and walk yourself back out of that stretch until you can relax your arms down. Good. Okay, I'm walking back over to the mat. Give yourself a couple of shoulder rolls. And I just want you to check in. You should be feeling some stretch. You shouldn't be feeling any pain here as we advance forward. A couple more shoulder rolls. I don't know if David is on with us today because I can only see a few boxes on the screen, but David has a nice habit he's developed, which I need to start doing it. So whenever he walks through a doorway, he stops and puts his arms, and then he leans forward a little bit and just takes a couple of seconds before he walks through the doorway. So he's giving himself this nice stretch several times a day, which is really great. Okay, we'll take the right arm up and then try to reach your fingertips behind the back of your neck. You should start to feel this stretch through the triceps. We'll take a side stretch over and open up the entire waistline. Head should stay pretty neutral, so try not to drop your chin down to your chest. You're kind of pushing the back of your head into your hand or your wrist. So I'm feeling this from the tricep through the armpit where the lat connects and all into the side waist. Now, if you want to add a little more, this left hand can come up and reach the elbow, and we can pull it a little bit. Or you can push it from the front if that feels better for your shoulder. And again, you might feel more comfortable sitting in a chair with this, which is fine, or sitting on the floor on your mat. All right, let's bring it back up. And then straighten the arm and release it down. Let's switch. So left arm lifts. We bend the elbow. We see how far we can reach back behind the neck. It's interesting that I'm a little sore from our Tuesday class. Side stretch. We did our breathing and concentration, and we did some weights, and we did some wall push-ups. My triceps are feeling this today, so that's good. Option to reach up and give it a little pull. It's amazing if you take even a week or two off. So for me, it was since my hip replacement. Boy, the next time you work out, those muscles, they'll tell you about it, right? We get a little bit sore, but in a good way, hopefully, if you don't overdo it. All right, let's come back up, straighten the arm, and release it down. So we'll move into cow face arms. You can use your yoga strap. If you have it, it's a really nice tool. Then we'll place that in the right hand, and we'll lift it up. And the same thing, we bend our elbow to try to put the strap behind our back. And then this hand turns, the thumb turns down, and we reach behind and we try to find the strap behind. And then we're going to inch our fingers as closely as we can together on the strap. I'm just going to turn around and show you. See, my hands are pretty far apart. I don't have that much flexibility in my shoulder here, at least on this side. But that's okay. We want to at least keep what we have, right? And then if you'd like to add that side stretch, we take it over to the left. Ooh. Okay, let's hold here roughly 30 seconds. And if you're watching later on YouTube, you can hit the pause button, hold as long as you want. Or it's always kind of nice if you want to maybe then rewind and repeat a couple of poses and do them twice. That's great and a nice option with the recordings that we have too. Or if you're watching later on YouTube and there's something that doesn't work for you, you get to hit the fast forward button. That's all right too. Or do something different. Okay, let's pull it up. Now very carefully drop that bottom arm first. It goes down and then it comes forward and we release the top arm. Just check in. There's no rush to get to the other side. I want you to feel what you're feeling in your body before you rush. And it's not like we want to get the other side done really quick to keep ourselves balanced, because our body isn't balanced and it probably never will be. We just want to experience this side first, and then we'll go experience this side. So let's try it. Left arm, bring it back. This arm's a little sore right through this tricep. I'm really feeling it right there. And then right thumb down, reach behind, find your strap. Walk the fingers closely together. So this side's better for me. You can see the difference. I still can't bind my fingers together. Maybe some of you can actually touch your fingers and you make a bind. So it would look like this. You grab those fingers and you hold them together behind you. And you can kind of pull apart on the strap a little bit. And through the stretch, maybe you continue to inch your fingers a little closer if it feels okay. And possibly add your side bend. So if the arm that's behind your back hurts, you don't have to do that one. That's a really big stretch for the front of the shoulder. So all of these poses can be kind of picked apart and decide which works best for you today. And today is different than tomorrow, different than yesterday. So no expectations, no judgments for yourself, just being accepting of where we are in this moment. It's a good lesson for us all to learn. A couple more breaths. Great, bring it up. I don't want you to tweak the right arm, so very carefully let go of that strap, drop the arm down, and then the left arm as well. Take a moment and relax. Nice. Just let those sensations that you're feeling dissipate a little bit. And then we are going to move down onto the mat with our blanket roll. And where we're going to put it is along the length of our spine. So it's probably going to support the back of your head, right between your shoulder blades and your hips. But it just kind of depends on how long your blanket roll is. So if it's not very long, you might have to put a little pillow under the back of your head. I don't want it hanging off the mat onto the floor. So that goes long ways onto your mat. Let's come down. You're going to sit on one end and lay all the way back. All right. It's going to take me a second to get there. Let's see how I do here. Okay, I've got to go on the right side first. At least I can get up and down off the floor, so that's a good thing. It's maybe not pretty, but it's all right. Okay, I want to make sure you have some room to the sides of you, right and left. As you roll back. Ah, that feels great. Now, if your blanket is pretty thick and so your blanket roll is pretty big, it might be too big. So you might have to unroll it a little bit, make it smaller so this feels comfortable. So the back of my shoulder blades are not touching the floor, but my arms are. So I want to make sure your arms are touching because then you can relax your chest muscles. And we're just allowing gravity and the blanket roll to help us pull our shoulders, the fronts of our shoulders, away from each other to stretch this area of the chest. And as we're here for a couple of minutes, maybe you can decide to change the position of your arms a little bit. The lower they go, the less stretch I feel. The further out I go, more stretch. And if I bend my elbows into goalpost and try to bring the back of my hands to the floor, ooh, that's a big stretch. But I can do it, at least for now. So I'm going to start right in here, and then maybe we'll have to move away from that. And I have my knees bent, my feet flat on the floor. That feels good for my lower back, but you can certainly change the position of your legs too. I'm going to try straightening them out and see what I feel. I feel a lot of stretch through my hip flexors because they're very tight after the hip replacements. But that feels like it'd be something good for me. So I'm going to stay here a little bit with my legs lengthened. But I noticed that kind of made my lower back lift up off the blanket roll. So maybe that's not a good idea. I'm going to come back in. Okay, so when we breathe and send the lungs down, or send the breath down into our lungs, we can expand our rib cage in certain areas. So I want you to notice this area of your chest, and that's where I want you to send the air into your lungs. And I want you to fill this space a lot, and that's going to help you to stretch more. So let's breathe in, fill the space in your chest, and then breathe out. We'll hold here maybe another 30 seconds. Maybe 2 more breaths. And then you'll move your arms into a little bit more comfortable position. And then to come off the blanket roll, we'll roll over onto one side. I'm just going to roll right off of it. And then you can move your hand, use your hand to bring that blanket roll out from behind your body. So this next pose might be really hard for me because of my hip replacement, but I'm going to talk you through it, and then I might have to adjust a little bit. So I want you to lay on your side, but my incision is right here on the outside of my hip. So what I'm going to do is take another blanket. So lay completely on your side. You might be on a different side than I am. This is my first hip replacement, so it's not quite as bad to lay there. And then you might need a little something under your head here, little pillow, or you can prop your hand here. And so this top arm touches the floor in front of you, and you're going to draw a big circle above your head and then rotate your body out into a twist and then slowly come back in. Wow, this is really tight. This is a lot different than the last time I did this, but that's okay. So we're just going to do one more, drawing that nice rainbow above your head. And when you get to a spot where you feel the stretch is the right one for you, I want you to hold it for 30 seconds. It's going to be right here for me. So you might be flexible enough to get your top shoulder blade all the way to the floor and your arm all the way to the side. I could, but then my knees would come up off the floor. So I'm trying to keep those down. That is a great stretch for the pec. 2 more breaths. And then come out, back to center. Now I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to do this on the other side, but we'll see what happens. So you're going to roll all the way over to the other side. And I can hear you guys going, Lisa, don't even go there. So what I'm going to do, since I can't lay on my left side, is I'm just going to lay on kind of on my back and do this with my knees up. But you guys lay on your side and then make the big rainbow back. Oh, I still get a great stretch, so that's good. It's all about doing what we can and finding the modifications that work, right? So we'll draw that rainbow 3 times. Maybe you can come open a little farther on each one. And the goal, if you can, is to keep your finger touching the floor all the way through. But if you're a little tight, it might lift up off the ground. And then on this third one, we're going to find a place to hold and breathe. So since I can't lay on my left side, this is totally different, but I still get a good stretch through the pecs. So that's okay. And maybe you're breathing into the chest area again. That would be nice to try. And 2 more breaths. And then come out of that little half moon, rainbow. And then once you roll to your side, press yourself up to sit. And since I can't roll to my side, I'm just going to sit straight up from my back this way. Okay, we're going to grab that blanket roll again. This time, instead of going vertically down our mat and all the way down our spine, we're going to put it horizontally. I'm going to put it behind here. And where I want it is below your shoulder blades. So ladies, for you, you know where your brassiere rests right here? That's where I want the roll to be. So your arms are going to be over the top of the roll. So it might take a little adjusting to get it in the right spot. Let's roll back. And then again, take those arms out. So this is a little bit of a supported back bend. You can see kind of how my back is arching. And if that doesn't feel good for you, you can just do it right on the floor, or you can unroll your blanket a little bit so that it's not lifting your chest up as high. And then we're going to breathe in a different spot. So instead of breathing into the upper chest, we're going to breathe into the mid rib cage. So when we inhale, we're going to try to expand the ribs right here, kind of like the bucket handle breath, almost flaring the ribs outward. And then back down. And again, your head should be on the mat. So if your head is up and it's tipping way back and it's hanging free, I want you to bring a little pillow behind the back of your head. And if we straighten our legs, this is a modification of fish pose. So that might feel okay for you today. So let's take about 4 or 5 more deep breaths right into the ribs, expand. And exhale. And I have my arms again in that goalpost position, but you can put them any way that feels okay for you. You get a nice stretch without any strain. Just about 15 seconds. Okay, decide how you want to come up off the blanket roll. Maybe you roll to your side again. Perhaps you have the core strength to lift yourself straight up. And just take a little bit of a forward bend for a moment just to kind of counter that position with your back. Doesn't have to be deep. Just open up the shoulder blades a little bit. And then prepare yourself for a child's pose position. So I'm going to use my blanket for my knees. Good morning, Treacle. How are you today? I didn't know that you were roaming around. You going to come do a cat stretch? Okay, so what I've got is my blanket roll where my hands are going to be for child's pose. And then I've got another blanket that will support my knees. You guys get to see me at my best here, trying to get around on the floor. Okay. It's interesting, after this left hip, it's brought a lot of swelling down into my knee replacement. So that's back to feeling kind of stiff. Okay, so I'm going to take the knees apart slightly, big toes to touch. And then I'm placing my hands up on this blanket roll as I try to bring my forehead down to touch the floor. And my hips are not all the way down to my heels. Maybe yours are, and that feels good. But you can have any amount of bend in your knees that feels comfortable for you. Now, the reason I have the blanket here is to elevate my arms a little higher to get more stretch through the lats, and that might feel too much for you. You might have to put a block or something under your forehead to get your head down to the mat and to relax it. That's all good. So our class today is about releasing shoulders, chest, and lats. So this is mostly for the upper body. You might feel a little bit of a back bend too. All that's okay. But try to put your energy and your thoughts into stretching through the shoulders. And today they might say this is too much. So what you can do is just slide your elbows down a little bit and make it more relaxing here. So we're going to do a stretch that's similar to thread the needle, but it's not thread the needle because we're not going to twist. And with thread the needle, we twist our body and we lay our shoulder on the mat and our arms. What we're going to do is tuck the right arm underneath our body without twisting. So I'm going to come up a little bit for a second. Take the right arm, slide it under your body, but again, not turning to the left. And then that left arm is going to reach up on that blanket roll. So it's just like the child's pose I did, but now I have one arm underneath my body to stretch the shoulder and open up that shoulder blade. Please adjust if this doesn't feel comfortable for you. This can also be done laying on your stomach, which is a lot more intense, but I've taught it that way in years past. So if you've done that with me before and you want to lay down on your belly with your arm underneath you, you can do that as well. One more breath. Right, then I'm going to use my left hand to push down into the mat to bring myself up and slide that arm out. Then the left arm goes underneath without turning the body, just staying straight on. And the arm is a little bit lower than my shoulder. And then I'm going to reach that other arm out to the blanket roll. Oh, luxurious stretch. Somebody used that yesterday in Pilates. Liz, I don't know if that was in the class you were in, but somebody said it felt luxurious. So I said, oh, I need to use that as a cue. But you might be saying, no, that doesn't describe this, Lisa. That's not what I would say. But try to make it feel as luxurious as you can. And just keep sinking and relaxing into the pose. Try not to make it tense and stressful. We'll take 2 more breaths. And we'll take that right hand, push it into the mat to bring yourself up. And then come into a cat stretch, tuck your tailbone, separate your shoulder blades. And then a cow. Lift your tailbone, drop your chest, lift your chin a little bit. And then come back to neutral. And let's have a seat on our mat or on a chair. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Let's go like this. It's really hard when I can't put pressure on that incision, how to try to figure out how to change position. All right. So I want you to sit in a comfortable position with the hip replacements. Cross leg pose isn't that great for me yet, so I'm just going to bend my knees a little bit and sit up like this. I want you to be able to sit tall. And then we'll lift the right arm up, place it over toward the left ear, and without pulling, just stretch the side of your neck. And then this other hand can again go behind the back. So this is a version of cow face. Typical cow face, I'd be reaching the hand behind me, but I'm just putting a little gentle, I don't even think I want to use the word pressure, but just a touch. I'm putting a little touch. So that helps me to stretch the side of the neck. If we're tense in the upper traps, it leads to tension in the levator muscles and the scalenes, which run all along the side of the neck here. So we just want to let that completely relax. And then just turn your head a little bit so that you're looking down toward your right armpit. So we've done a side flexion of the neck and then added a little bit of rotation. And then back to the neutral, releasing that hand and very gently releasing the bottom arm behind the back. Just pause for a moment. Notice, do your shoulders feel squared? Does one shoulder feel higher than the other? And make them feel as level as you can. And we'll lift that left arm up. Gentle touch as we side flex the neck, lateral flexion of the cervical spine. And then we can bring the other hand behind, version of cow face. This feels interesting. It feels so much different. I don't feel very much stretch at all here. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not a good thing, but I don't feel at all like I did on the other side. You might be noticing similar sensations. And then we'll turn, looking down. There, that gets it a little bit more. I just noticed that sitting like this really works my core. So I'm going to straighten my legs out a little. Ooh. Not that I can't use that right now. That's not the focus today. And back to center. Carefully releasing that stretch. And we'll take a breath in and out. Now interlace your hands together. And when you do that, notice which thumb is on top. We always do it the same. My left thumb is on top. So I'm going to change that. Put your right thumb on the top and then switch your fingers. Doesn't that feel odd? Then push your knuckles toward the front. Separate your shoulder blades and drop your chin down to your chest. So one more little release right between the shoulder blades. And then bring the head up. Pull the arms back in toward you. Now, I don't want to send you away with that stretch. It feels good, but it emphasizes rounding forward, right? And that's what we don't want to do. So I want to send you with the reverse of that. So open up the chest, reach your hands behind you, maybe on the mat, on the floor, and lift your heart up. Slightly open up your throat. Couple more breaths here. And then release back to center. Put your left hand on the floor, your right hand onto your right shoulder, and then just roll your arm back behind you. And you're trying to put your elbow on the wall behind your body. If it feels okay, you can open your arm. I don't have quite enough space, but instead of holding onto your shoulder, you can reach your hand behind you too. You know where I'm feeling that is in my bicep. And then bring that back to the front. Right hand on the floor, left hand to your shoulder. Turn and try to put your elbow to the wall behind you, or lengthen this arm, reach your hand back. And then come back to the center. Okay, let's try a downward dog, either on the mat, or you can put your hands on a chair, or you could do child's pose if that feels better for you. And we'll do one last lat stretch for the shoulders here. And our goal is to push away with our hands and try to send your body back towards your thighs, your chest towards your thighs. And there shouldn't be a lot of pressure on your wrists. If your down dog looks like this, there's going to be a lot of pressure on your wrists. So you want to push, push, push. So your arms are way above your head if that feels comfortable. And then either walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands. As we come into a little forward bend, and then we'll bend our knees, lifting the arms with us. Let's come into chair pose. Press the legs to straight, baby back bend, reaching up. Circle the arms open and around. One more big circle, forward, open, and around. And we'll press our palms at the heart center to celebrate the hard work that we put into our yoga practice and the LisaBug community. And the light that resides within me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you signed on a little bit late after the announcements, I have to zip off to the Y for a client, so I'm not going to stay. Bye, Treacle. Not going to stay to chit chat today, but I would love to hear from you. If you can send me a little quick text or email, and let me know how class felt for you today. And then I'll hope to see you next Tuesday. So I'll get our recording shut off. And everybody, you have a fantastic day. I appreciate you all so very much. I'll see you soon.